Ah! Hello everybody, hope you're well. Boy, have we got a full-on video for you today. This is the second video in my Taste of the World playlist. Bizarrely, as I am filming this today, the first one, the Battenberg cake, is about to go up later, so I have no idea if you guys actually like it, but I think from teasing it on social media, you guys were excited for it. So second of all today, we are doing something called Bao Buns, which are Chinese, I believe. I hope I've got that right. I just love the word bao. It rolls off the tongue, and they are a roll, so that kind of works, right? I was kind of hoping that they came from Korea, because then I could do the joke, a career move. I've not been to Asia, and I would absolutely love to, just for like a massive food fest, but my only time I've tried these is when I've been to a place called Wagamama's here in the UK, but they're like soft, pillowy buns, and they're filled with a variety of meaty and vegetarian fillings. You can basically put whatever you want in it. We're gonna go for shredded beef, okay, pickled carrots and some onions and stuff in there as well, just to try and replicate something similar to what I've had at Wagamama's, but it's all about these pillowy cushions, and it's gonna take a lot. You have to prove it twice. We need to crack on. The main thing that's gonna take the time today is actually just waiting. So it might look a bit like scary and intimidating at first, but honestly, I really hope you try this. In fact, no, wait to the end and see what you look like, then make that decision. This is a bowl of plain flour. Gonna salt bay on some salt. If you haven't guessed already, this is the dry ingredients. 1.5 tablespoons of caster sugar. Arr. Why did I want to say it like a pirate? Let's use a normal spoon today and give it a little mix. All right, so we've got a little bit of wet here. This is 1 tablespoon of warm water, and thank you to everyone when I've made dough in the past. I used to add salt in with the yeast, and everyone was saying, you're killing your yeast, so this is why I do this now. And this is a sachet of fast action yeast, so I'm gonna put a teaspoon of that in there, and just a little pinch of sugar. Oh, that smells so yeasty already. It's the yeast I could do. I've got to say, you should actually give that a little stir, just so it is mixed together to help it. You can see the little bubbles starting to form there. It's working away. So this bowl of plain flour is about to get really exciting. I'm making a well. Okay, there. I'm gonna add in a splash of rice vinegar. And this is some vegetable oil, about the same amount. Now this jug is a mixture of milk and water. 50 mils of milk, and it's topped up with cold water. Let's just give this a little mix. Sorry. And I've still got a bit of a splodgy bit there, mixture of wet and dry, so we can push in. Oh, there we go. Should have just used a smaller spoon, but it did all come out. Our yeast mixture. Push my dough down. Oh, yeah. And I'm going to try and at first keep one hand clean. That ain't going to last for long. Let's get a really good knead on it. I'm going to just be kneading this like this for about 10 minutes. I'm going to get a bit more rough with it in a bit and get loads all over my floor. It always happens when I knead. So I'll see you in a bit. There we go. I'm really happy with that. That was a good 15 minutes. I'm knackered. It's a good workout. We need to prove this now. The first prove. Rapmaster 3000 oily bowl. Okay, look into the dough. Look into my eyes. It's going to double in size. That did not supposed to rhyme, but it did. Maybe I'm a part-time rapper, but by putting it in a warm area, it should double in size in around about an hour, sometimes more than that, maybe up to 2 hours, but you just want to get that rise. Put it anywhere, but I'm going to put it in our TV room because it gets insanely hot in here. Cheers, then. Told you this recipe was going to take a lot of time, didn't I? Well, we're not using time today. We're using coriander. For the fillings, you can do whatever you want. I mean, if you've got any leftover chicken, leftover pulled pork, whatever, I mean, you can buy. I'm not going to be angry with you. If you go to the effort of making the buns, which is, let's say, the main thing of this thing, put in whatever you want. I was seriously going to go down making the homemade pulled pork route, but I wanted to actually replicate what I had in Wagamama's, which was like beef. It's actually shredded short beef ribs. And I got that this morning. I think that's Wolverine. But I went to a butcher's this morning, and you can see them in there. They are stonking. And also, friggin' expensive, but actually worth it. And the great thing about this it does take time, not coriander, but we can just shove it all in one tray and leave it to cook whilst we're gonna wilt it down so we can shred the beef. Oh my God. Let's do it. Now the beef ribs are going to be slow cooked in our own marinade. It's going to be so, so good. And if you want, rather than grating all the ginger and getting a gadget on the garlic and stuff like that, which is fine, if you've got a food processor, you can just do this. This is some garlic cloves. I love it because you can just chuck it in chunks. And speaking of chunks, this is a big old chunk of ginger that I've taken the skin off. Chicken stock. And in here is some duck sauce, or I sometimes call it plum sauce or hoisin sauce, I think they call it. Reminds me of the song Duck Sauce. Mrs. Barry sang that on her hen do. I've seen video evidence. 2 limes that I've halved, and my little gadget, which is amazing for this. Straight in there. Ugh. Everything inside me wants to stir that right now, but we just whiz it up. All right, so this is completely optional. Ta-da! Look at that. I love it. That sort of nice mixture of roughly chopped and chunky and stuff. But what I'm going to also do, it's up to you. You could add this in with the blender as well, but it will finally break it down. But I'm going to add this in right now. These are some chili flakes and then some 5-spice powder. Now, the good thing for this, I can just stick the lid on. What I'm going to do is pour a little bit of that marinade just on the bottom, so that the ribs sort of sit in it already. I mean, it'll find its way anyway. And these are what the ribs look like. They look kind of a little like bricks, don't they? You can build a house with them. Don't do that, don't do that. Well, we're gonna slow cook these so that we can basically shred them later. There's bones in it, so we'll work all around that. Nice bit of marbling with the fat and all that stuff. You can actually buy boneless ones. Oh, look at this. I was thinking I might need to sort of brush it with this brush a bit more, but I think that's fairly good. So I've got a sheet of tin foil. And that is ready for the oven for 2 hours. The good thing is we can cook this and it doesn't really matter if it cools down. All right, this is gonna go in for 2 hours roughly. So about halfway through, I think I'll just do it for an hour for now. I've already teased that for one filling, I'm gonna do some julienne carrots, so just really thinly sliced ones. I have a julienne peeler for that. Really cool to get hold of one of those, or you can get like a plainy thing, or just cut it thinly. But also I remember having inside it, I think it was like some sort of caramelized onion. So I've got an onion that I've just found in the fridge, and the only sort of jammy thing I could find, we have this lingonberry jam. This is literally the only jam in the fridge from IKEA. It goes with their meatballs generally. I did a video on that. So we're gonna use that. We're just gonna caramelize these up. I'm gonna... Yeah, this is the julienne peeler. It looks like a normal peeler, except it's got individually sort of serrated blades, I guess, so you can go like this. It is amazing. It is also quite dangerous, but you are basically left with strands of carrot like that. Super, super good. So here is 2 small carrots julienne up there like that. I mean, you don't have to use that many. You could use loads more. Quite frankly, I couldn't carrot all. 2 tablespoons of caster sugar. And then we're going back in with this rice wine vinegar. And the only thing you've got to do is stir it so that the sugar dissolves into the vinegar. In fact, you could probably do that separately first of all. So the cool thing is that, and we're just gonna leave that in the fridge to stay nice and fresh and cool and gorgeous. But you could put coleslaw in there as well. No, not coleslaw, sorry. You could try it, but like cabbage, and you could grate that up and stick it in there. A nice variety of colors. Easy, right? So with the onion, I'm not really gonna do anything flash. I'm just basically gonna chop it really fine. So you know how when you slice it like this downwards, you get like the little strands like this? That is all I want. I've just had an idea whilst I was doing that. What about using the julienne peeler on the onion? No. Right, so all I'm gonna do is take a small frying pan. I'm gonna take a heaped spoonful of the jam, which is gonna break down, it's gonna caramelize and sweeten the onions. And a little bit of pepper. That is it. I don't want to overdo it on the jam. I want it to just sort of, you can see how it's starting to stain a couple of these. It's like put lipstick on the onions. I'm gonna stir it around. So we're gonna fry the onions right down, wilt them all up, get them coated, get them sweetened, and that'll be gorgeous. So the fruity jam vibe was just kind of like my own idea there, just to sweeten it up, but give it a little bit of a fruity vibe too. But you don't have to do that. I mean, you could use chutneys, maybe add some mustards and things like that. But if you want, you could just add sugar or just fry them as they are. Fry them right down. There we go then. So that would probably fry for about 10 minutes. Do keep it stirring, otherwise the jam sticks. You can add some water as well if you get really worried. But I'm gonna let these cool down then stick them in the fridge so they'll be nice and fresh with those pickled carrots. Okay, so before we go back to the dough and do the second proof, we'll come on to that in just a moment. The smell in here from that beef is amazing. It's got like 3 minutes left, so we'll get things ready just to turn it over, shove it back in whilst we work on the other bit of the dough. And just before I get it out the oven, notice the new pug-themed oven gloves. Thank you to the person that sent us those. We love it. Oh, yes! Wow. But you can still see it looks a little tough. So, hopefully this next hour will sort of help the shredding bit. All right, see you in an hour. Really smells good. I told you this was full on. So, the dough is there. It's doubled in size. I mean, it's a massive bowl, so it's not going to go all the way up. Well, it will if we leave it overnight for like a slow proof, but we ain't doing that. Ah, look at that. Could we just make a giant one? It's going to get messy again, but you're just going to knead it a little bit. So this is where the steaming is really going to help it. You actually now put baking powder into this dough so that I guess when steaming it, it's just going to go, whey! So this is a sachet of baking powder, which is supposed to have a teaspoon in it. We're just going to work this into the dough and again knead it with some extra flour if you need it for another 5 minutes or so. There we go. So we're back to smooth ball territory, but now we want to get it into smaller balls, so we'll just roll it into some sort of tubey thing to help with that. So I've actually halved my dough now because I want to keep it fairly thin. Let's say this is probably like about an inch thick, something like that, maybe just over. But remember, it is going to puff up when we steam it. And remember, I've never done this before. This might be a bit weird, but I'm just using a tape measure to try and get even-sized pieces. But it was fun. Each of these are going to be a bun. So the recipe that I was sent, one thing that did warn me was that this dough can get quite sticky, although to me it feels quite floury right now. Quite happy with that. But if you're resting it anywhere like this, put it down on some baking parchment, which we'll need in a bit anyway. But apparently all we do is take one of these at a time and roll it into a ball, bit of baking parchment, and sit it to kind of rest like that for a few minutes whilst we do the other ones. All right, so under the watchful eye of these guys, I've rolled it out into smooth balls, which I've left to rest for a little bit. Now, I got a little bit scared, so you'll notice that these three, I actually put 2 pieces together and rolled them up like that, because I just want to see. I guess I don't trust it, but I think this will be all right. Okay, this is where it gets a little bit more full on. So we'll take the baking parchment away just for the moment. I don't know if you could hear that. Finished scratching, mate? Teeny bit of flour down on it. I've set my rolling pin to 4 mil. So hopefully we should be able to roll this out. And as you can see, it's kind of creating its own oval shape, which is basically what these bao buns are. Now, this is some vegetable oil. I'm gonna brush the top. And now we take one chopstick, stick it in the middle, apparently, okay? Fold it over, that's a little bit, there we go. All right, and then we pull the chopstick out. That's it, all right? So I'm just gonna do that again with all the others. Ta-da, like that. Okay, so in this tin, I've put the slightly larger ones. We're gonna have to leave them for an hour and a half. So we can cling film it with Rapmaster 3000 styly, or a little bit different, we can get a damp tea towel, just drape it over the top like so, and leave it. We're pretty much near the stage of where we're gonna steam the buns, and I have invested in a steamer. That's right, one of these. They're made of bamboo, and you've probably seen them before. This was cost me about 20 quid from a shop, and you've got 2 layers. You've got the lid, you've got one shelf, and then you've got another shelf, so you can actually cook a fair bit in one go. If you don't want to invest in one of these, you can use a baking rack, you can use a colander, as long as you can get a lid over it. And the other thing that I didn't know is you get a wok, you 1/3 of the way fill it with water, get it hot, and you sit your thing in it, so the steam is gonna pass through both the levels, kind of like a skyscraper, and cook the buns at the same time. So that's pretty cool. Just make sure the water isn't touching the food. Here we go. I've got to turn this oven off. It's so hot. I love the caramelization on the tops. Can we just take a moment to admire this? Oh my gosh. So, it should just slide off the bone. Look at that. So I've decided actually, rather than getting it with forks and just, you know, shredding it up, which of course you can do, I think I'm going to try and get some like sort of nice chunks like this. I kind of like that idea. Perks of the job and all that. I've just tried some of that beef. It is amazing. I've just put it to one side out the way. I think we should try out the steamer. It's not touching the water. So I'm going to put this on the heat. So I think what I'll do is I'll go for 2 of the bigger ones and 2 of the standard ones that I've made. Reckon I could get 3 in there. I think I'm ready. Can you see the steam coming off? Amazing. I'm going to turn the heat down slightly and we're going for this. Okay. That looks enormous. Stop. Okay, it is time to get these out. I haven't taken a sneak peek at all. I'm really scared, but I've got others if it's failed. Oh! I don't know if that's cooked. It looks so moist, but it's the steam, isn't it? Ah, sugar dung dong. Oh my gosh. Okay, those were the big ones I did. They look, well, big. This is hot, hot, hot. Ah! Oh my gosh! I think I've done it. I think I've done it. Oh! So there we go. I'm taking it straight out, and this actually, oh wow, yeah. It looked wet, but that's only because of the steam. It's quite rigid, and you can open it up like so. Oh, this has worked an absolute charm. I'm gonna load it with those beef ribs and the marinade that we made, that we baked it in. I'm just gonna drizzle some of that on there as well, just to moisten it up, because the flavour in there is amazing. I'm gonna stick in those onions, some of those pickled carrots, which are ice cold now. Look at that. It's a little bit of mayonnaise, because I asked the person in the shop and he was like, I think it's just mayonnaise. There was mayonnaise in it. And this is just some fresh coriander just pushed into it like that. Now, I'm no food stylist. I'll probably do one that looks better for my thumbnail, but it doesn't matter. It's all about the taste. No treble. Yeah, I'll come back and take a better picture in a minute, but I just simply have to eat this. But before I do, if you've got any ideas, like I say, for this playlist, anywhere around the world, and sending recipes you've got, if you have already subscribed already, but you've got any friends that you think would like the channel, do me a favour, tell them about it. And if you're not subscribed, make sure you do. Here we go. Oh my gosh. I haven't said it's stonking for a while. That is amazing. It has blown my mind. I think that is in the top 10 recipes I have ever made. So the filling, do what you want with it. There's the freshness of the pickled. There's the caramelization and sweetness of the onions and the beef. And also the softness of those pillows, those bao buns. In conclusion, I think you should bow down to this recipe. Yes, you should make it. And if you do, send me a picture on your social media platform of choice. I love to see it. That's basically the reason I do this channel. Laugh, learn about the world of food. And when you guys cook the recipes, that's basically the coolest thing in the world. So from me and this bao bun, goodbye, good bow.
Check your level, player. No matter what your style, the kitchen's for me. Simon's moustache, goatee, maybe all 3.